Your first glance, and it's quite easy to describe a distinctive, often immaculate and largely undecorated attire. Quite mundane for many, but their lives are far from the mundane. It's one that's quite astonishing most days, while other days come with its own bit of terrifying events. Really, there's nothing humdrum about their jobs.
Hi, my name is Dominique Millen and I have been a nurse for 13 years. I chose nursing as a career because as a teenager I experienced a devastating loss. At the time I could not cope with the feelings I was experiencing, so I saw a way I could help the helpless. As a nurse, I love being a part of a medical team that goes above and beyond to save patients to life. It is amazing to see the things that people do when you work together to achieve one goal.
My name is Lillian Cook. I'm an acting ward manager, a registered specialist nurse working at the Bustamante Hospital for Children for over 20 years. The word nurse to me means caring, helping those who are sick, and the greatest pleasure is to bring them back to health. When I was a child, growing up, I wanted to become a nurse. And at about the age 11, I read about Florence Nightingale. And that story was so inspiring, the lady with the lamp. And I decided in my mind from there that that's a profession I would choose for life.
So many of them stood and continue to stand as the backbone of the frontline workers in a pandemic that we knew too little about, while dealing with unprecedented strains and wounds that not even their gauze or surgical tapes could ever cover.
I remember the first time I heard about the COVID-19 virus hitting the shores of Jamaica. I knew this was it. My name is Norvelyn Mendez, and I have been a nurse for 14 years, and I have never experienced anything quite like the pandemic.
Working as a nurse during the pandemic at the hospital, it is very overwhelming to see that our medical resources have been stretched thin, and it is very devastating to see that family members can't be with the patients here.
Working in the pandemic has been very taxing emotionally and physically. The work demand becomes very hectic. You have to show up, you have to give the same amount of care, irrespective of the fact that the patient has a contagious illness. You work long hours, longer than normal, because sometimes there are staff members who are on quarantine or who have been exposed to the virus. And so you must now sometimes double up your time in order to give the care that the patients require.
I lost a colleague to COVID-19 last September. It was very, very difficult for us as colleagues to bear the news, feel the pain, especially when that person was so warmed. It was panic-driven. And when I heard that people were just dying, as if there was nothing that could spare life, it was really panicky for us. But when it came to our shores and we saw that people could really recover, yes, it touched us when we saw loved ones died, when you care for persons and the end result is death. But we were much happy when we start getting positive results of people who come in, treated, and return home.
Having lost a patient to COVID-19 has been emotional for me because the patient would have been in hospital over a period of time. And so after having been in hospital over a period of time, you develop that patient-care relationship, and so the patient would appear like a family member. And so when the patient dies, a part of you is affected.
Despite the losses, despite the faces of patients far too many to even count or recollect, Persons like these continue to respond to the call to save lives daily, hourly, and with every ticking second of a clock.
So the lifelong lesson that I have learned as a nurse is that life is very fragile. You have it this minute and the next minute it is gone. And that is the reason I believe that each person should find the time to spend the time with those they love. Let them know in every way possible how much they mean to them, because life is fragile.
What motivates me being a nurse is that I can make a difference in a patient's life. I grew up with a strong family background of strong women. They always say, you turn up and show up and give your best.
I did not choose nursing. Nursing chose me. My advice to those who would like to pursue a career in becoming a nurse is that nursing is fun. It's a fun profession. You are never ever doing the same thing every day. If you are passionate about helping people to restore their health, to preserve life, to promote health, if you are passionate about humanity, this is a profession for you.
Even if I'm tired, when I go home in the evening, or at every time my shift ends, whether it's a night shift that ends in the morning, I just have this strong, compassionate feeling to continue my work. And I always look forward for the life that I'm going to touch tomorrow.
Unless you're in that room, you have no idea what we do. But I love my job.
I was meant to be a nurse.
I knew what I was getting into, but I chose it. And if I should start all over again, I will make the same choice. I'll nurse for life.
So here's a space where these healthcare providers are notorious for working long, grueling hours, giving of themselves, working tirelessly to allow someone, anyone, to see into the promise of tomorrow. A nurse's task isn't easy. So how about showing them some appreciation as we go about our daily lives?